The second book I would like to talk about is by an author who, ever since I first read her book called The Body Double, which is not the same book I'm going to be talking in a second, has been one of my favorite authors whose work I always anticipate with trepidation and hope to read again and again. This book is by Tess Gerritsen, and it's called The Surgeon. It's the first book in her famous Rizzoli and Oils book series, which have inspired the TV series of the same name by TNT. Now, I first found out about Tess Gerritsen in the summer of 2004. It was my first summer out of college. The first year of law school was behind me, and I was working as a security guard in the oldest bookshop in Estonia called Rahvaraamat, the Book of the People. The shop is still there. It's a cafe and a shop now in my working days. No cafe, sadly, but still a lot of books. And what made it very difficult for a dorky bookworm like me was the fact that, obviously, during the shift, I was not allowed to read. And I spent my days, 16-hour plus shifts, walking around amid bookshelves full of literature I hoped embrace myself in, yet still understanding that I would not physically have time to read all of it, even if I would dedicate the rest of my life to it. So one day, walking among those bookshelves, I decided starting to sort of memorizing the positioning of different genre of literature, different series, just to kill time, because one of the things I remember from that summer is that I promised myself I'll do anything in my power not to end up at such position ever again. I mean, I respect deeply my colleagues in the security industry, but that was mind-numbing and killing my imagination, mainly because I wanted to read those books and I knew I cannot. And at the same time, shockingly, not much action was happening in a bookstore. So one of those days, among the shelves, I stumbled upon the series of books called The File, or Toimik in my native language. There were different authors, and all of them, as I quickly realized, were writing about crime. And so the title stuck out to me. Chirurg, the surgeon. I picked the book up, read the synopsis at the back cover. It was fascinating. I had already developed a taste for not just crime fiction, but more specifically serial killer related fiction and sort of gore crime fiction. But I didn't buy the book. I didn't have it in my budget at that time. Most of my college earnings were spent on buying textbooks and paying for a bus pass and my karate practice. So I remembered that title. This time, the author and the title stuck. I also was fascinated by the description that Tess Gerritsen was also Dr. Tess Gerritsen. a medical professional turned writer. So years passed. I had changed jobs. I had practiced being a bowling club mechanic. I had been an intern with Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I had even practiced law as an in-house counsel for a small company. And I had did my army service. And I was in Helsinki in a bookstore within the law faculty of the University of Helsinki, when in the pile of books which were set aside as damaged by customers, I found a book by Tess Gerritsen called Body Double, the 4th installment in the series. I went home to the dorm. I read it the same night, made for some awkward red eye next morning in a seminar, but I never looked back at this as a bad experience. I went to the bookstore next day and got myself the copy of The Surgeon. I'm still very happy I did that. That started my fascination with Tess Gerritsen, Rizzoli and Isles series, and with the genre of gore crime fiction. The Surgeon tells the story of the man called Warren Hoyt, who is a medical professional, a man who wanted to become a surgeon but dropped out of surgical studies and became a lab technician, who becomes a serial killer. And the first collaboration between Boston detective Jane Rizzoli, hot-headed American-Italian cop, and very down-to-earth, pragmatic, logical thinking Dr. Morrow Isles, the chief pathologist of the medical examiner office in Boston, and their search for a murderer in Boston. And it's also a beginning of a very deep friendship between two characters whose pasts are so vastly different, yet still interconnected in many ways, as they're going to find out over the course of their journey as friends, co-workers, crime fighters, and two women trying to survive the modern day-to-day urban life of a large metropolis. Now, for me, The Surgeon is a reminiscence about days where I was still discovering myself as a boy on his way to manhood. I hope that for you, if you decide to read The Surgeon, it's also going to be a door to the new journey into the worlds of Tess Gerritsen, into the worlds of Morrow Isles and Jane Rizzoli, into the world of crime fiction, and most importantly, into the world of good literature. And from a personal experience, when picking up The Surgeon and starting reading it, keep the lights on.